in this video, I'm going to be telling about some things that you absolutely do not want to do once you enter the second sea. And the very first thing might sound kind of weird, but trust me on this one. So this first thing you shouldn't do is follow the quest guy. What I mean by the quest guy is literally any NPC in the game that gives you a quest, as well as the compass, obviously. The reason for that is because they don't always have your best interests in mind. If you follow these guys, you don't actually level up as fast as you could be leveling up. Let me show you two quests, for example. There's a quest in the Kingdom of Rose right here where you have to choose between killing the swamp pirates or the scientists. And the scientists is actually a higher level quest, which means you get more XP and more belly. But it's actually better to do the swamp pirates in this case because they're located very close to each other, making them a lot easier to farm. And on top of that, they also have lower HP than the scientists, so it's incredibly easy to farm them. Just take a look at how close these guys are together. And when I head over to the scientists, see how far they're separated. And on top of that, they even have more annoying devil fruits to fight against. So this is going to take up way too much of your time, so it's better to just go with the easier option. The next thing I'm going to be telling you about is that you do not want to be awakening your fruits. And what I mean by this is not literally never awaken your fruits, because that would be kind of stupid. I'm just telling you guys to wait for the right time to do it. Before you start awakening your fruits, you will have to keep two things in mind. The first thing is know exactly what fruit is good to awaken and what fruit is useless. And the second thing is that you do have to have a team that's well prepared for this, or you yourself have to be prepared by having the Buddha fruit activated, because that's the best fruit in the game for raids. And some fruits I recommend you guys awaken are obviously grinding type fruits. Fruits like the light fruit, the ice fruit, and obviously even the Buddha fruit, but you probably have to wait with that and get a whole team to help you. The next thing you don't want to be doing is rolling a fruit from the Blox Fruit gacha. And the reason for this is because money is extremely important in the second sea, and there's a lot of things you can buy with it, from fighting styles to really overpowered swords, as well as your race v2 and your race v3. So if you're constantly rolling fruits, and let's be honest, most of the time when you roll a fruit, you end up getting a pretty terrible one, and you still have to pay the Blox Fruit gacha a butt ton of money depending on your level. Anyways, this next thing is incredibly important, so I recommend you also don't make this mistake, and that is getting the superhuman fighting style. Don't get me wrong, this is a very good fighting style and probably one of the best in the whole game, but the reason you don't want to be getting this is because it takes a butt ton of money, time, and effort to get. To get the superhuman fighting style, first of all, you need the dark step fighting style, the electric fighting style, the water kung fu fighting style, as well as the dragon's breath fighting style. That in of itself is 4 different fighting styles, and on top of that, you need a 300 mastery on each of those fighting styles. And wait, that's not it. You also need to pay the teacher 3 million belly. Like, where are you gonna find that kind of money? And like I mentioned before, this fighting style is definitely the best fighting style from the second sea for PvP, but just trust me with this one, it is not worth the time it takes to get. You can literally finish the whole sea before you get this fighting style. The next thing you don't want to be doing is leveling up your Buddha fruit. I know I literally mentioned before that the Buddha fruit is one of the best fruits in the game for raids, but the reason you don't want to level it up is because the reason it's actually a good fruit in the first place is not because of its level or its abilities. All you need from the Buddha fruit is its transformation. Once you transform with the Buddha fruit, the range you can hit people increases by 8 times. That lets you hit people before they can even hit you. This only really applies to NPCs because actual players can just hit you with other attacks, but when fighting against NPCs and grinding, the Buddha fruit is literally unmatched. There's no fruit that even touches this, and that's the reason you don't need to level it up. And the reason I'm telling you guys this is because I see a lot of people making the mistake of leveling up their fruit, even adding stat points to their fruit. That's even worse than leveling it up. So your ideal Buddha build is literally just going to be having your melee really high, your defense kind of in the middle, and the rest you don't really need to care about, because when you're using the Buddha fruit, you're usually using a fighting style. The next thing I'm going to be telling you about is to not do specific kind of raids. These things apply to raids that literally don't benefit you in any way, shape, or form, or doing raids that are way too high for your level. If you just reach level 1100, you unlock the ability to do raids in the second sea, but you don't want to be doing really overpowered raids like the dough raid, the sand raid, or even the dark raid, because these raids are pretty hard for a beginner. And if you don't have the Buddha fruit activated, well, there's a very low chance you're actually completing that raid on time. The next mistake I see a lot of people making is not getting the Sharkman Karate fighting style. And the reason you want to be getting this fighting style is because it's the literal best fighting style in the whole game for grinding. And for how good it is pretty simple to get. First of all, you need to get water kung fu from the first sea. Once you do that, head over to the second sea and head over to Skull Island. And make sure before you do this, you actually have a 400 mastery on the water kung fu fighting style. Once you do that, you need to talk to Dyrock, the Sharkman, and he's going to give you a quest to get the water key. And you get that by defeating the timekeeper at the back of this island. Once you do that, you can talk to Dyrock again, and you have to pay him 2.5 million belly as well as 5,000 fragments. And then boom, you can get the Sharkman Karate fighting style. And the reason this is the best fighting style for grinding is because it actually has no delay between its M1 attacks, which means you can literally spam the crap out of it. When it comes to damage, it isn't as good as Superhuman or even Godhuman, but just the fact that you can hit faster makes it a lot better for grinding. The next mistake I see a lot of people making is grinding with a bad fruit, and this is a problem in not only the second sea, this problem also exists in the first and the third. And this is a very simple problem to fix. You simply just have to go online or watch some of my videos to know what the best grinding fruits are. And like I mentioned before, the Buddha fruit is the ideal fruit that you want to have, but a lot of people can't really get that because it's a pretty difficult fruit to get. Some other options I recommend are the magma fruit. That's honestly the second best. Then we also got the ice fruit, the light fruit, and literally any elemental fruit. And if you're the biggest noob in the game and you have have no money, then you should at least save up for the smoke fruit, because in my opinion, that's the cheapest, best grinding fruit in the game. The reason for that is because it's the cheapest elemental, and the smoke bomber ability from the smoke fruit actually makes it so you can defeat enemies without them even being able to touch you. Similar to the butter fruit, but this is the very budget version of that, because the damage you deal is pretty minimum, and it takes a lot of time to kill your enemies. The next mistake I see a lot of people making is not getting the Acidum rifle. The reason you want to get the Acidum rifle, even though it's a gun, is because once you finish the game, it's going to help you a butt ton with PvP, because once you're done with the game, you don't have much else to do. And even if you don't have a gun build, you should be getting this gun, because it has some abilities that destroy observation haki. And that's literally the only reason you want to be getting this. Get this gun, level up, get the abilities, and boom, you should be good to PvP anybody. The next mistake I see a lot of people making is doing high level bosses early. And I don't understand why people still do this, because this problem exists in the first sea, the second sea, and the third sea. I guess the thought process there is to get boss drops, but then again, that's not really a good idea, because you're gonna end up getting destroyed by a boss that's a higher level. Even if the boss is the same level as you, it still takes a butt ton of effort to destroy it. And if you're doing a higher level boss, then well, good luck. You might end up sleeping before you kill that boss, because the damage you deal is literally gonna be insignificant. But if you have friends that are like max level, then I guess you can get them to help you, and then you can deal 10% of the damage to the boss. That is a pretty good way to do it. But I see a lot of people just trying to solo high level bosses. I once saw a guy who's level 750, just entered the second sea, and he was trying to fight the Tidekeeper boss. That is not a very good idea. The next mistake I see a lot of people making is not upgrading their race. Upgrading your race is literally one of the most crucial things in Blox Fruits. It's the easiest way to get more powerful. And I see a butt ton of people in the third sea without their race upgraded. So before you go to upgrade your race, there are a few basic things you need to know about it. There's 4 main races in the game. That's the human race, the rabbit race, the shark race, as well as the angel race. And we also got the ghoul race as well as the cyborg. You can't really spawn in with that. You kind of have to do some quests for it. The human race is pretty basic, and in my opinion has the best V4 ability, but when you're in the second sea, you will not be able to get the V4, but I still recommend getting the human race. And the V2 quest for races is actually the same for every single race. All you have to do is complete the alchemist quest, and to take this quest, you have to complete the Colosseum quest before, and you get that from Bartillo, who's located in the cafe. The alchemist quest is pretty simple. It just tells you to find 3 different roses, and keep in mind, to accept this quest, you have to be at least level 850. Anyways, back to the quest. You have to collect 3 different flowers: the blue flower, the red flower, and the yellow flower. The blue flower only spawns during the night, and it will not spawn when the Darkbeard boss is summoned, because that's a pretty weird thing. There's also a chance that 2 different blue flowers will spawn in one night, but that is pretty uncommon. The red flower only spawns during the day, but it does not despawn during the night. So if you join a server at its daytime, then you can expect yourself to find this flower. And the yellow flower you can get by killing any NPCs in the second sea. It's not guaranteed, so you'd have to kill a butt ton of NPCs to get it. And a tip for people doing this is to kill NPCs that are located closer to each other, because then that way you can farm them a lot faster. Anyways, moving to race V3, this quest is actually kind of different for every single race. For the human race, you have to kill the diamond boss, the Jeremy boss, as well as the Vegeta boss. For the rabbit race, you have to collect 30 chests, which is actually very simple to do because you can just server hop them. For the shark race, you have to defeat a naturally spawned sea beast. You can't kill sea beasts that other players spawn in. And this is also pretty simple to do. You just have to drive around in a boat and wait till one spawns. Next up, for the angel race, you have to kill another player who has the angel race. And this is probably the hardest one because you have to find a player that has the same race as you and also kill them. For the ghoul race, there's no level requirement for this, so you can kind of just bully players who have a level that's way lower than yours. And for the cyborg race, you have to give Arrowy a physical Blox Fruit. And this is pretty simple to do because you can just go roll one at the gacha and just simply give it to him. This is probably the easiest quest out of all the race V3s. And you don't really need to worry about race V4 for now because you're not going to be seeing that until the third sea. Another thing I see a lot of people doing, and this is probably the stupidest thing that you do not want to be doing, is trading super good fruits just to start a raid. Everyone knows that there's 2 different ways to start a raid. One way is by paying 100,000 belly, and the other way is by trading a physical fruit. Well, I guess low IQ people that trade in super high rated fruits like the magma fruit, the light fruit, the Buddha fruit, and sometimes even fruits better than that. And this is pretty obvious. I don't know why I'm even saying this, but you have to be trading in terrible fruits when you want to start raids. Stuff like the spin fruit, the rocket fruit, the falcon fruit, or literally any fruit that you can think of that's terrible, or fruit that you don't want. The next mistake I see a lot of people doing is not getting help with their raids. This is very simple to do, so I definitely recommend you guys doing this. You don't even need to go into game. Hop in any Blox Fruits Discord server and ask people to help you. If you head over to my Discord server with the link in the description, you can find people to help you with raids pretty easily. That's pretty much it.